Before you hire a cosmetic chemist, before you send that email asking for a quote, pause. Because most clean beauty founders overspend 30 to 70%, not because labs are bad, but because new clean beauty founders and skincare entrepreneurs don't know how to lead the process. They walk in with a vibe, a Pinterest board, a vague dream, and they get back a generic formula, expensive revisions, and a timeline that quietly drags on for months and months. So in this video, I am going to give you the 3-part clean beauty product blueprint, the exact pre-lab structure that stops overspending, prevents the reformulation loop, and makes you a confident decision maker in the room. And the 3rd part, the product brief, that is the difference between being a passive client and being the founder who gets what she actually intended. If we haven't met already, I'm Amy, and I have spent over 20 years in clean beauty, teaching formulation, developing compliant, botanically driven products, and helping founders build brands with structure instead of confusion. All right, let's fix this before you spend $1. This is the biggest mistake I see, why labs get expensive super fast. Most founders approach labs in one of 2 ways. They DIY for too long because they're afraid to invest, or they hand everything over too early and kind of become passive in the process. Both paths create vulnerability. So here's the shift you have to make. Before you approach a lab, you need ownership. Ownership of your vision, ownership of your ingredient strategy, ownership of your performance expectations. Now, I'm going to give you a simplified version of the blueprint, and I want you to treat this like a checklist. Phase 1 is ingredient literacy and clean standards mastery. Look, you don't need to become a cosmetic chemist, but you do need enough ingredient literacy to evaluate what comes back to you. So here's the quick exercise. Choose your top 3 hero ingredients. And for each one, I want you to answer these 5 questions. Number 1, what's the clinical evidence or functional reason it's included? 2, what are the typical usage ranges, like 1%, 10%, 60%? 3, is it oil phase or water phase? What is the solubility? Meaning, is that ingredient mixed with oil or water? 4, any known incompatibilities, like does using this ingredient kind of cancel out the effectiveness of another ingredient or cause the product to separate? 5, any sourcing or sustainability concerns that might matter to your brand? If you can't answer those 5 questions, you are not ready to brief a cosmetic chemist, because you won't be able to spot when you're being sold marketing hype instead of performance. And now the nuance that many founders miss. Clean standards should be brand equity, not just restriction. Okay, so if you say you're clean, you need to define that and what it means to you. Is it EU aligned, retailer aligned? Is it a restricted no dirty list? Is it having to do with certified organic priorities? Because clean, without definition, just becomes greenwashing, and it can absolutely become a legal problem down the line. So let me share an example of this. I was working with a founder who wanted to use a calendula extract, okay? And she was using this calendula extract, but she did not know where it was sourced from or the composition of that calendula extract. After researching it, and I helped her request documentation from the supplier, we discovered, to our horror, that one of the components, when we read the composition statement of that calendula extract, was methylparaben used as a preservative. And in her brand, she was staying away from parabens and even said that her brand doesn't use parabens. Yet, that calendula extract had methylparaben in it, albeit it was at a very tiny percentage, but from an ethical perspective, she could no longer use that extract. Now, she would not have known this had I not shown her how she has to deeply investigate each one of her ingredients, especially her active botanical extracts. So that is an example of really doing deep dive research in your ingredients so you know where they're sourced, how they're composed, and that they align with all of your values. Okay, I want to take a quick check-in right now. Where are you? I'd love to know as you're listening to this what phase you're at. If you're just in researching phase, or you're formulating phase, or you're just generally confused, I'd love you to drop it into the comments. Because if you want help building your product brief and clean standards the right way, my free founder community is where we start mapping this out together. Now here's where founders think they're ready, but they're still missing the second layer, the one that prevents generic formulas. Phase 2, formula architecture and sensory targets. This is where founders panic and say, but wait a minute, I'm not a formulator, how do I know this? Well, this is good, actually. You do not need to be a cosmetic chemist or formulator, okay? You are not finalizing the formula. You are just defining the architecture of it. This is actually what you can actually define. Is this going to be a full oil phase anhydrous product? Is it going to be a water phase or emulsion where there's water and oil together? They're aqueous ingredients in it. What are the actives that you're going to be using? What is the strategy behind those actives? And also, finally, if you are using a product that has water in it, what preservatives are you using? And what's your preservative direction and philosophy? Next, you have to target what kind of texture you want. You want to understand the speed of absorption. You want to also be able to communicate the aromatic profile of the product. You're not guessing percentages, you're actually defining the blueprint of performance. If you just walk into a lab and you say, hey, I want a hydrating clean moisturizer, you're going to get something very generic. But if you say, I want a lightweight gel cream, fast absorbing, no silicone slip, low pH compatible system, and performance comparable to this product without using that ingredient, now you are leading. And when you lead, two things happen. One, you get better samples faster, and you stop taking feedback personally. You evaluate logically. Now here's the part that saves founders the most money. It's not the ingredients, and it's not the lab, it's the product brief. Phase 3, the professional product brief. Your product brief is where you move from hobbyist to founder, and it should include the following. It should include the vision for the product, your target customer, like really specific on who they are and what emotional frustrations they're experiencing, the performance goals, like what are the actual results you want, the ingredient preferences and exclusions, things you will accept, things you won't, any kind of clean standard definition, whether you're going by Whole Foods, Credo, Detox Market, etc. Sensory expectations, feel, texture, scent, and packaging compatibility. And of course, your target cost per unit. So if you know that your target customer won't spend more than $50, that would be like your threshold for the retail price. So let me say this clearly. If you don't define your target cost per unit before formulation, you can price yourself into a corner and make retail impossible later. This is where founders overspend because they're negotiating without constraints. Inside my full blueprint system, I give founders templates and negotiation guidance so they stop getting surprised by costs, revisions, and ownership clauses. I've linked an example of a well thought out product brief below. So if you want grounded, ethical education without the hype, subscribe. This channel is your classroom. And next, we need to talk about the stage where clean beauty dreams quietly die. Manufacturers. In the next video, I'm going to show you the red flags that founders miss, how to protect your formula ownership, and how to negotiate like a CEO before you sign anything. Watch that next.